The arena was silent, a quiet hum of tension hanging in the air. Thousands of eyes were trained on the battlefield below, where warriors from every corner of the galaxy were locked in a brutal contest. It was the Zithar Empire's greatest tradition, a trial of strength, wit, and courage. The stakes were higher than ever, as this trial would decide not only the fate of the Empire but the future of the galaxy itself. Ryder stood among the human warriors, waiting his turn. His muscles tensed and his breath steady. He had been chosen to represent humanity in this contest, and he was determined to succeed. His reputation as a skilled fighter had earned him this place, but he knew the competition was fierce. The alien warriors around him were tall, powerful, and trained in combat since birth. Still, Ryder was not afraid. He had faced battles before, many of them, but none like this. The Zithar Empire, with its towering spires and advanced technology, was a force to be reckoned with. Its ruler, the Queen, was a being of supreme intellect and cold calculation. She had no time for weakness, and her empire was built on the strength of her people. To win her favor and secure a place among the stars, one had to prove themselves in the most grueling of trials. Today, Ryder was to prove that humanity, despite its youth and limited resources, was capable of standing alongside the greatest civilizations in the galaxy. He knew the eyes of the Empire were upon him. The pressure was immense, but it was something he had learned to handle over the years. He had faced death many times, but this felt different. This was a battle for more than just survival. It was a battle for respect. The trial had begun. Ryder's first opponent was a Zithar champion, a warrior nearly twice his size. The alien's muscles rippled beneath his armored skin, and his eyes gleamed with the promise of destruction. Ryder knew he would have to be quick. The alien charged first, swinging a massive sword, its blade crackling with energy. Ryder sidestepped the blow with ease, his reflexes honed from years of fighting. He drew his own blade, a sleek, sharp weapon designed for quick strikes. The two warriors clashed in a flurry of movement, their weapons singing as they met in the air. Ryder's eyes remained focused, reading his opponent's moves, waiting for the perfect moment. The Zithar's swings were powerful, but they were slow. Ryder could see the openings, the spaces between each strike. His movements were precise, his strikes quick and calculated. In a swift motion, he disarmed the Zithar warrior, sending the alien's weapon skittering across the ground. The crowd gasped, their eyes wide in disbelief. Ryder took a step back, his blade raised in a defensive stance, watching the alien carefully. The Zithar warrior growled in frustration, his pride wounded. But he was not finished yet. With a roar, he lunged again, this time aiming for Ryder's throat. Ryder reacted instantly, ducking beneath the strike and rolling to the side. He came up behind the alien, using the momentum of the roll to drive his blade into the weak spot behind the alien's knee. The Zithar warrior howled in pain, falling to the ground. Ryder didn't give him a chance to recover. He struck again, this time in the chest, disabling the alien completely. The arena was silent once more as Ryder stood over his defeated opponent. The Zithar warrior's pride had been crushed, and the crowd was left in stunned silence. Ryder wiped his blade clean and looked up at the high throne where the queen sat, her eyes fixed on him. She was unmoving, her expression unreadable. The next fight was already being prepared. Ryder's heart pounded in his chest, but he pushed aside the adrenaline and focused. He had one goal: win. He didn't care about glory or fame. He cared only about victory. The second round was no less brutal. Ryder faced off against a Zithar elite soldier, a female warrior known for her speed and agility. She was smaller than Ryder, but she moved with incredible precision, each step calculated and light. Ryder knew this fight would require more than just strength, it would require strategy. The two circled each other, sizing each other up. The alien warrior struck first, her movements swift as a predator's. Ryder barely managed to block her initial attack. the force of her blow rattling his bones. He staggered but regained his balance quickly, countering with a thrust of his own. The female warrior easily dodged, twisting her body in ways that seemed impossible, her speed unmatched. Ryder narrowed his eyes. He would have to think quickly. He feigned a strike to the left, causing the warrior to shift her weight, anticipating the blow. But Ryder had already moved to the right, his blade catching her off guard. She parried, but the force of the blow knocked her back a step. Ryder pressed the advantage, pushing forward with quick, decisive strikes. The Zithar warrior countered each blow with skill, but Ryder's endurance and experience slowly began to wear her down. In the final moments, Ryder feinted a move to the right, causing the alien to overextend. He struck fast, his blade slicing across her chest. She stumbled back, a sharp gasp escaping her lips. Ryder's victory was clear, but the crowd remained silent. They had expected more from their champion. The Zithar warriors were not accustomed to losing, and to lose to a human, someone they considered inferior, was a blow to their pride. Ryder stood over his fallen opponent, breathing heavily, his heart pounding. He had proven his worth in battle, but the true challenge was yet to come. The Queen's decision loomed on the horizon, and Ryder knew that this trial was not just about physical strength. It was about something deeper, something the Queen valued more than combat prowess. As the final round approached, Ryder couldn't help but glance up at the Queen's throne once more. She had been watching him intently throughout the trials, her eyes never leaving him for long. There was something about her gaze that unsettled him, a quiet intensity that was both unnerving and captivating. The Zithar Queen was not a ruler to be underestimated. She had built her empire on cold logic and ruthless decision-making. She valued strength, yes, but there was something more, something Ryder could not yet comprehend. And as the final battle began, he found himself wondering if he was truly ready to face whatever challenge awaited him. The arena gates opened once again. Ryder's final opponent was waiting. This time, there would be no second chances. The final battle was about to begin. Ryder stood at the edge of the arena, the crowd's murmurs echoing in his ears. He had already proven himself, defeating each of the Zithar Empire's best champions. Yet there was one final trial ahead, one that was more than just physical combat. It was a test of his will, of his heart. His muscles still ached from the previous rounds, but he pushed the pain aside. He had trained for this moment. The arena was vast, the ground beneath him hard and unforgiving. Around him, Zithar warriors stood ready, their eyes filled with a mix of admiration and hostility. Ryder had earned their respect in battle, but he knew respect would not guarantee his safety in the coming fight. As the gates of the arena creaked open, the final opponent entered. The crowd went silent, their gaze fixed on the figure stepping onto the field. It was not another Zithar warrior. This time, it was a figure unlike any Ryder had faced before. The Queen's personal champion, a warrior known only as Varkash. Varkash was a beast of a fighter, taller and broader than anyone Ryder had fought. His skin was a deep shade of gray, almost metallic, and his eyes glowed with an unsettling light. He was armed with an enormous battle axe, its edge sharp enough to slice through steel. There was no doubt in Ryder's mind that this would be the hardest fight of his life. Ryder's breath slowed as he sized up his opponent. The Zithar champion stood still, his eyes locked on Ryder, as if waiting for the moment to strike. Ryder could sense the quiet confidence in Varkash's posture. He had been trained for this moment, just as Ryder had. This was a battle to prove who would lead, who would survive. The air around them grew thick with tension, every second dragging on as the two warriors prepared for what would be a fight to the death. With a deafening roar, Varkash charged forward. The ground shook beneath him, his massive feet pounding the dirt as he swung his battle axe in a wide arc. Ryder reacted swiftly, rolling to the side and narrowly avoiding the blade. The axe slammed into the earth with a bone-rattling impact, sending shockwaves through the arena. Ryder's heart raced as he rolled back to his feet, his eyes locked on the Zithar champion. Varkash was fast, despite his size. The axe, though heavy, seemed to move with a mind of its own, cutting through the air with terrifying precision. Ryder knew he could not afford to make a mistake. His previous victories had been earned through speed and agility, but this was different. This battle would require everything he had: strength, wit, and sheer determination. Varkash swung the axe again, this time aiming directly for Ryder's head. Ryder ducked, the blade missing by inches, and rolled out of the way, his body moving with practiced ease. He had learned long ago to read his opponents, to anticipate their every move. But Varkash was unpredictable. The Zithar champion wasn't following any pattern. He was simply trying to overwhelm Ryder with pure power. The fight dragged on, Ryder and Varkash exchanging blows, each one a test of endurance. Ryder's muscles burned with the effort, but he kept his focus, dodging the powerful swings of the axe and looking for an opening. His blade, though smaller, was nimble. It cut through the air like a snake, finding gaps in the Zithar warrior's defense. But for every strike Ryder made, Varkash seemed to recover with ease, his resilience seemingly endless. Ryder's breath came in short gasps, his body covered in sweat and blood. He had never faced an opponent like this, but he couldn't give up. He had a purpose here, a reason to keep fighting. His mind flashed back to the humans he had left behind. He was not fighting just for himself. He was fighting for humanity's place in the galaxy. Varkash roared in fury as he swung the axe with both hands, forcing Ryder to leap back to avoid the devastating blow. The Zithar champion was relentless, refusing to give Ryder even a moment to breathe. Ryder's legs trembled from exhaustion, but he knew he had to press on. With a swift movement, Ryder dodged another blow and found his opening. He lunged forward, his blade striking Varkash's exposed side. The Zithar warrior grunted, staggering back. Ryder pressed the advantage, using every ounce of his remaining strength to land another blow. This time the strike landed true, his blade cutting through Varkash's armor and drawing blood. The crowd erupted into a roar, but Ryder barely heard them. His mind was focused entirely on the fight, on the enemy in front of him. Varkash was not down yet. He still stood, though his breathing was labored, his movements slower. Ryder could see the frustration in his eyes. The Zithar champion had underestimated him. With a final, desperate charge, Varkash swung the axe in a downward arc, aiming to cleave Ryder in half. But Ryder was ready. He dodged to the side, allowing the axe to strike the ground. He used the momentary opening to rush forward, his blade piercing through the weak spot in Varkash's armor. The Zithar champion staggered, his grip on the axe faltering. Ryder took a step back, watching as Varkash crumpled to the ground. The massive warrior let out a final, labored breath before falling still. Ryder stood over him, chest heaving, his mind racing. He had done it. He had defeated the greatest warrior the Zithar Empire had to offer. But as he looked up, he saw the alien queen's gaze fixed on him from her throne. There was no time to celebrate. The queen rose from her seat, her eyes never leaving Ryder. The arena fell silent once again, the weight of her presence pressing down on everyone. Ryder stood motionless, his heart pounding in his chest. The queen's voice echoed through the arena, clear and cold. "You have proven yourself, human. You have fought with honor, strength, and determination. But now the true test begins." The words hit Ryder like a blow. The final trial, he had just completed it. He had defeated their champion. But what more did the queen want from him? The queen descended from her throne, her steps measured and graceful. She approached Ryder, her eyes never leaving his face. The crowd parted to make way for her, their respect for her clear. But Ryder could not shake the feeling that something was about to change. She stood before him, her gaze unwavering. Ryder's mind raced. Was she going to order his execution for some perceived slight? Or was this a reward for his victory? The queen looked down at Ryder, her eyes calculating. "You have shown us what humanity is capable of," she said, her voice softer now. "You fought with the heart of a true warrior, but the question remains, can you fight with us?" Ryder's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just about the fight anymore. This was about something much greater. "Can you lead?" the queen asked, her voice tinged with something that almost sounded like curiosity. Ryder stood tall, despite the exhaustion weighing down his body. "Lead," he repeated, his voice hoarse. The queen nodded. "You are more than just a warrior. You are a symbol, a bridge between two worlds. Humanity has shown strength. Now I offer you a place by my side. Fight for us, fight with us, and you will be more than just a champion. You will become a ruler in your own right." Ryder felt a chill run through him. The weight of her words sank in. This was not what he had expected. He had come here to fight for humanity's place in the galaxy, to prove they were worthy of respect. But now the queen was offering him a position of power, a chance to shape the future of the empire alongside her. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying him. "What do you say, human warrior?" Ryder's mind raced. This was more than just a victory. This was an opportunity. An opportunity to lead, to change the fate of humanity and the Zithar Empire. But at what cost? He stood silently for a moment, his heart still beating loudly in his chest. He had come here as a soldier, a champion. But this was something entirely different. Finally he spoke, his voice steady despite the storm of thoughts inside him. "I choose to fight, for my people, for yours, together." The queen's lips curled into a small, approving smile. She had her answer. And Ryder had just stepped into a new world, one where the battle was far from over, but where his role was no longer just as a warrior. It was as a leader.